Well, good morning again, YouTube. Today I decided I'd go ahead and put this fender on. I cut that pipe down there to match the thing. I've got a couple cage bolts. You can see what I did over there to those. I still have to weld them in. I've got a couple in here that I'm going to have to cut out. Those two right there, you can see where I sprayed oil on them. And so I decided I'd get to work on this fender, and I've took 40 grit, pretty much sanded this all off. Here's a running board. It's not too bad, but right in here, and this is the outside part of this fender. It's been ripped. I think they probably ran over something and tore it loose. I bent this plate out of the way so I can get to it. I'll have to take a wire brush in there and clean this up best I can, but this fender edge has got to come down. Actually, this inside edge got to come up to meet that fender. So it's going to be a little hammer and dolly work. Once I get that straight, I'll clean it up and I'll tack it here in the corner, and I'll get it bent around and weld it in. Once I get that done, then I can pull this bracket up there, weld that in. Then I'll just rust converter this whole thing. I already did the inside a long time ago. And while that's drying, I'll go work on those fender bolts. Well, that took a little doing, but I got all this part back here cleaned out or cut off, pried up, and I'm assuming this corner is going to be the straight edge. I can still move it a little, and I've clamped this reinforcement piece in there flat against a 1/4 inch piece of metal. The only place I'm going to be able to weld it is right here, and I'll put a couple tacks back here in the back to try to keep this thing straight. I need to weld it along the whole front edge, but I can't with that plate in there. And once I get this welded up, then I can finish this little bent piece right here. It's got to be clamped up into this side piece, and then that corner welded up. But I got to get this welded up first, and then I'll show you what we have to do next. Alright, I got that. I got a couple good tacks here in the back, and I've got this corner right in here welded up, and a little right in there. And now you can see the hole that I've got. I can see the back of this is off of the fender a little, so I'm going to try to clean it up in there and get this squashed completely flat. I'm going to squeeze it right in here somewhere, and then try to weld this corner up. That'll make that fairly strong, so when I squeeze these together, it should be as straight as I can get. This all welded up. I actually bent that lip in a little. It looks like just to try to make it flat. It was 1/4 of an inch hanging out, so I twisted it in pretty straight. That one there on the bottom looks a little crooked, but that's the sheet metal there to tweak. And I got this little brace in there tacked pretty good. I burnt through in a couple places, but I was able to patch it. Well, I got my fender all rust converted and cleaned up. Got my running board put in place, and got back here trying to fix these bolts. I've got 3 that are broke back here. I've got a couple in there. I could actually get to them, but these 3 here, this is the tough one because it's underneath the, if you can see down in there, but it's right at that, this brace is sitting over it. I might be able to get a sawzall in there and cut that off. There's no way my cutoff wheel will go in there. Maybe plasma cutter. I think sawzall will be my best bet. And I don't really have enough room here to weld anything to it. I was thinking about trying to drill it out, but I know that's a dicey deal even if you can get to it. And I don't really have much room here between the tire to get a drill in there. The fender over there, it's got a big old hole in the bottom of it where it'll go. But I don't think that's going to do me much good. I could bore a hole right next to it. Try to get a bolt in that way. But the little plate is probably going from like right here to up here. So I'd have to drill through that bolt and a plate, and it's going to move my hole off like an inch. So the best thing is, I guess, try to get it out. So I'm going to try to sawzall it first, see what kind of luck I have with that. Well, I was able to get that in there. Got that out. The sawzall was able to cut about half of it out. I had to modify the blade a bit to get it up in there, but did get it out. And I got a couple washers on it. It's a 9/16 bolt. It's a little bigger than these, but anyway, that's what I got in it. And rather than try to weld or fire up the welder and just weld that one, I'm gonna go ahead and see if I can cut these 2 off. I might be able to get a cutoff tool in there. That sawzall wants to go in and hit the fender and bounce out and bend the blade. I think I can reach a lot of this with the cutoff tool. We'll see. Well, I was able to get my cutoff tool in there. I cut off 2 here, 1 there and 1 there. and got a bolt in it, stacked some washers, and cleaned it up so I can weld it. So I got 5 bolts on this side, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4 or 5 on that side. It's like 2 of those are good. 1 down there in the corner. Anyway, got some welding to do over there, and some welding to do here. I put a big washer and a little washer. You can probably see that one better. Maybe. I put a big washer and a little washer and then a nut, so I can weld that big washer to the body. Weld those 2 washers together and then weld that nut on there. So I should be good to go with that. So that took a while, almost all day. Just didn't feel very good today. Anyway, I'll fire up Mr. Welder and tack these things in. We'll see what it looks like. Well, here's Mr. Fender. I was able to pour a lot on it, particularly up in here where it was rusted. I don't know if it's worth trying to fill that or not. It looks pretty good. I don't really see too many dents. A little right there. Floorboard, it was in good shape. I scuffed it up, squirted it. I didn't get the bottom. It was painted black already. But a little corner turned out good enough here. That's just metal work, so I can fix that with body filler. I didn't really use a whole lot of care, just primered this outside. And I had sanded on this fender here, and I squirted a little primer on it. Feels pretty good. So I don't think my big fenders are going to be too bad. And I shot this here. Thank God for eBay packing. And it looks pretty good. I got to put some Bondo in it down here. Got some little holes I couldn't fill, it's too thin. And I went around the inside of the trunk. Primed it pretty good. I had tried not to mix up so much primer, but anyway, I just used it here on the trunk. And I came over here to this door and I shot it real good. I'm not really finished with the door, but at least primer will tell me where I'm at. Well, anyway, this is kind of moving along. It's going to be fun to paint. I think probably what I'll do is, once I get the car painted, and then I'll push it out and clean up the shop, and I'll take all these fenders and put them inside. I probably could I've got a big tarp, and I've also got a portable shed. Don't know if it'd be raining or what, but I'm not going for a perfect paint job, but I could probably put them back here and paint them. Anyway, I look at this mess I got here, and I'm just thinking, man, what was I thinking? Anyway, won't look so bad. And of course this primer's all going to get sanded. Anyway, I'll put it on and put bullshit in here and see what it looks like. Well, fender went on beautifully. Hardly any dents in it. But and my bolt holes, they all work good. Pulled it up tight. But got into here. I don't know if you remember when I welded this corner here, this was out, had a big gap in it, and I kind of bent it in to fill that gap. Well, you can see that one's straight up and down, and this one's tilted back, so that was an error. I'll probably have to cut that. But the fender's pretty much where it's going, and the running board is down and solid. So I got about, I don't know, an inch here, 3/4 of an inch too high, and a good 1/2 to 3/4 over there. Just a gap. I'm going to try to raise this up a little. Well, I banged on it, but it's pretty much jammed in tight in those threads on the bolts that going down through here. Now, if I lower the front, it'll raise this back. If I tried to do anything with this fender, it's not completely bolted on. But if I rotated it down, it would bring this further away, I believe. And it's matching up good left and right, and it's into the fender good, so I think that's where that's got to go. And I'm going to have to do something, probably put spacers in here or something. Not exactly sure what. But I've got a, and I'm not sure how this matches up to this front fender either. I know the other one matches. I can bend those running board support bars around some. I could put a jack on it and jack them up and bend them. I could cut them off and re-weld them. I could do anything I wanted to get that thing to fit. But I think that's gonna be a deal for another day. Kind of disappointing to see it off that much. But the fender on the wheel is real straight. You might need to go in just a little down here at the bottom but that's good enough. So anyway, looks good. I was surprised the fender's in real good shape. I may have to do a little tweaking there on that lip. I'm not sure what I'll do. I think you're gonna have to put this front fender back on where it goes, and so I can tell if this running board's got to be bent back or forward, or then I'll have to do some measuring to the floor. But anyway, the main thing is I got a fender and a running board on both sides. This side turned out real good. Yeah, that little gap there is minor compared to that other one. I just don't see my tape measure laying around. Let's do it with a stick. Alright, to the top of the running boards right there. The top of this running board is about a 1/2 inch low. Well, that answered that. I just raise that running board up. Well, we'll take a look at how it was made inside. It just got a bunch of 1/2 inch in there and bolts welded on it. It could have been that they welded a bolt down too low, but that kind of makes me feel good right away knowing that that's off a 1/2 inch lower than the other side. So we'll press on tomorrow and see if we can figure out what's wrong here. Well, I just found my tape and I checked the other side. On the other side I got 7 and 9. This one's about 8.5. In the front here is about 8. So this front end is being held up. And if I pull that down 1 inch, it'll bring that back one up 1/2 inch, I'm sure. So that's what the deal is. It's just probably just not setting down in there right. So anyway, I'm glad to see that. Really wasn't looking forward to trying to fix that big old hole. Like and subscribe, guys. Bring you back tomorrow and see how I managed to fix this.